Good morning, everyone. This is Tom from Mesa Hunt here. No, I haven't posted anything lately, but nonetheless, I want to really break down the Greenfield, Iowa tornado that happened on May 21 of this year. Um, I have been able to be out chasing quite a bit this year. Uh, really haven't been on any extraordinary big chases this year uh, due to stuff going on and how busy the schedule is. But nonetheless, I want to break this one down. Um, I have not been on a chase on a tornado here past couple years that has resulted in significant damage like we seen on May 21 in Greenfield, Iowa. The reason why I do this is I want to show the impacts of what some of these storms can do. We've been seeing an uptick in severe weather this spring, and a lot of strange places that wouldn't expect to get severe weather like this and continued with how strong some of these storms have been in the past, especially this spring. Um, Most could argue that it's climate change, partially, and it also plays in a lot of factors with how the climate sets itself up for events like this to unfold. Um, as you see in the background here, got pulled up on the Chase page here. You're looking firsthand right now of what me and my buddy first got a glimpse of what potentially could have been a bad day. It did lead up to be a very bad day. Um, with that, I do want to break this down. I do want to go over some keynotes on how this day went and what we can do to prevent further injuries and uh, any potential fatalities when stuff like this comes around. Um, these things can be very unpredictable. You could see them out of distance and think it's not coming at me. Then you could guess wrong and not realize that if it doesn't look like it's coming at you, if it looks like it's kind of sitting still, you got some problems. But nonetheless, let me break this down. So we started the chase. We departed Des Moines, Iowa, the morning of the 21st, probably around 11:30 or so. We went west on Iowa 80, and let's go here to Google Maps. So we left Des Moines. We actually started here in Altoona, if I said that right. Uh, we hopped on I-80 there. We got to Casey, Iowa, and I do believe we got in to here about 71. We continued west a little bit, went to 71, stopped here. Let's break it down here. I want to go satellite view here. Well, it's not let me do it. There we go. Take off that. So we went west on 80, Iowa 80 here for a moment. Trying to see where exactly we got off at. I do believe we stopped at Casey. No, that's not it. Let's see here. Let me backtrack here. Did we get off at Adar? Yeah, so we got up here off of Iowa 80 going west. Stopped here at this Casey's on 925 here. Topped off with fuel with some go-go juice. Got some drinks, snacks, and stuff like that. Normally, what I'll typically do on a chase day is make sure we got a topped off fuel, especially in Iowa. When you get to some remote parts, some gas stations can be far few in between. So very important to make sure we top everything off. So while we're at Casey's, we went over radar data, models, all that. Then go back here, Casey. We debated whether to go west a bit and potentially give some time for these cells to really mature. But what caught our interest were cells coming in from the west, the southwest of Iowa, that were starting to really ramp up. So we hopped east, and as we're going east, we had some development to the south near Morton Hills, Carbon, Quincy, Stanton here. So, given that in mind, we decided to go back east on 80. We got off on 25. We started going south on 25 here. Something that's really eerie on a chase is going through a community that is currently intact still yet. They're going about their normal business and all that. So we continue south on 80 here at in Greenfield, that is northeast 6th Street. As we continued on, then it's back into Iowa 25. We continued south quite a bit. Come here around the bend. We take a right here in Orient. Then continue south. There's 110th Street. And right here, we pull off and we point everything out to the west. At this point, we're stopped. We're looking out west to get a visual of that cell that is coming up from the southwest there. So keep in mind, we're here on the side of the road here, looking west, and while looking for a bit for development, I managed to get a snapshot of this. I got a couple snapshots of that. We had to get them, whatever shots we got, we had to get fairly quickly, as we wanted to try to get alongside with it and see what it did. Uh, as you can see from this picture here that I took, this thing is violent. This thing was not messing about. It wanted to pretty much destroy anything in its path. In fact, that it did, which is the bad part. I find a lot of enjoyment in chasing, especially when I can get shots like this. It's phenomenal. Especially this year, we haven't been out a lot to get anything. That's incredible for me to be able to get. That is one of the decent ones I've been on in the past 2 years. Besides the uh, Lewistown, Illinois tornado last season, that was a highlight of my season there. But this chase season, though, has several highlights, and some of it doesn't have to even do with severe weather. Some of it had to do with space weather. The May 10th phenomenon for the Northern Lights. Um, for me to see those Northern Lights in a different perspective, the way that I've seen them, and a lot of you guys seen them, May 10th was pretty incredible for me to get, and for me to first time to actually take the effort to get photography in time lapse of Northern Lights this season is top notch. This year, you can tell by the motion of this tornado. Nice fat tornado there. And as you get down to the base here, at ground level, you can see it's not like a solid tube to the ground. That's a very good indication that it's a violent and extremely dangerous tornado. This thing, according to the National Weather Service, and surveys that were conducted after this event, this thing was on the ground for 44 miles. So this was considered a long track and extremely dangerous tornado at this point in time. Even at the storm damage surveys that they did to classify the rating of this tornado. By looking at this, my initial prelim thoughts was this could be a prelim mid-level E of 3, and not knowing and seeing what the damage happened along with this. That was pretty much my thought until we get up to Greenfield, back up to Greenfield. So, backtrack here a bit. So, like I said, we're here on Iowa 25. Get a couple snapshots of that tornado on the ground there, out to our west. This tornado is moving northeast at approximately 45 miles an hour. So we was only able to get a couple snapshots of that, and we had to get back on the road and backtrack north on Iowa 25. So we go up 25 here, get back to the end of town of Orient. We take that left. I've seen some people out and about. It was starting to rain pretty heavily. People out and about in the community I passed. I had the window rolled down and seen people out there looking around. I took that chance, like, hey, there's a tornado around. You guys need a shelter in place, get to your safe spot. There's no telling where this thing is going to be headed with the track, because even though the tornado was tracking northeast, I have amongst chasers in the meteorology community, we have seen handoffs to where the tornado would be going northeast, tracking northeast, and every once in a while it'll have a deviant motion where it's going to go and hand off back to the south end a bit and kind of do like a slight U-turn, 360th, and continue. Those could be very dangerous tornadoes. Luckily, it didn't do a handoff where it was going to come towards Orient. As with how small this town was, that would have been very disastrous as well. So we take that left there, continue on 25, and we go around the bend here. Continuing up, then right along here. I start right along here. I start. I take the phone and switch applications out and all that. Then proceed to get video because we now got a rain wrapped visual of we know it's a tornado on the ground because our given history with being able in time and chasing we know what we're looking at. Um, Heavy downpour rain. This tornado at this time is rain wrapped. It's a rain wrapped tornado, invisible to those that don't know what they're looking at or what they're looking for. But as it's rolling through, we're pretty much getting up in the inflow of this thing. We are now at this point in the outer circulation of this tornado as the Dow, the team that runs Dow with Dr. Warman, they got a velocity scan that day that showed approximately 290 miles an hour gate to gate velocity at a height of 144 feet as it's scanning. So it's going to be the radar tilt and height that it's looking at that storm was 290 miles an hour gate to gate velocity. This thing was not messing about. It I'm pretty confident this thing was out to get anything in its path and just kill it. So I'm going to show you a quick video here of this thing. And of course, I don't update there. We'll go to the photos, albums. So right that. So as you can see there, we're on Iowa 25 going north. Pay attention to this portion of the screen there. So we're looking at how the wind's going. We're paying attention to a lot of factors here. And the part of chasing, we have to be observant. As you can see, the wash off the back of the vehicle, the wind right now is kicking. You can kind of see the trees bending a bit with that, and it's pretty intense. But yeah, that thing was a monster. So the tornado's like right there, out in distance. We start to slow down a bit. So as we're moving forward, we have to be careful. We look for down power lines, down power poles, any debris that could be out in the road. Right now, we're coming up on the southern part of Greenfield, Iowa, proper at this point in time. I had to put everything. So I'll bring it back up. So initially, the first thoughts is we got tree damage, we got some debris. How the stop sign there is kind of tilted. First part doesn't look bad. Um, as my partner indicated here. Some more damage. As I'm coming up here, I'm starting to see more and more debris. My partner got a first-hand look at it before I did, because I'm mainly paying attention to make sure I'm not going to blow out any tires. with damage, and we can pause it right there. Enough said about that. Coming up on that, um, mind you, let's go back to Google Maps here. Let me remind you, we was on here in Adar. We backtracked east, jumped down 25. We went through this town here, down this street. Everything was intact. Everybody living a normal life. We go south, we get our visual past Orient. Then we start backtracking north to come back to Greenfield. So, given the damage path of what we seen when we initially came out, this thing came across right here. Basically went through. It started to hand off a bit to the east. It shortly lifted after that, according to NWS surveys. So given that, take a look at this. Houses. Here, the fire department's right here. Construction company. Homes, a workshop, another home. And just, it's unreal looking at this Google map right here, seeing everything intact. We go, let that play out a little bit more. Pause it right there again. Take a look. I'm at this intersection here, going here. And according to Google Maps, I'm sure they got a street view somewhere. Let's go to street view. I'm here at this intersection, past this Casey's as you see in the video, and I'm looking north as I'm coming up. That's all gone. All those trees, all that is gone. Go further up. Insurance company here. So if you look back here, all that was gone. Go back up. That house was not intact, but somewhat recognizable that there was a structure there. This building partially survived. All this was gone. All of this was completely leveled. And here's a dead end road here. All that leveled. Hospital took a side swipe. So this took direct hit. I'm pretty sure they had, hopefully they had their crews out of there at that point in time. So as you've seen that firsthand, go back to my post. Some firsthand damage there. That thing is destructive. So as you've seen in Google Maps, why I did street view, it's unreal to go through a town, see it intact, then not even 20 minutes later, come back and it's gone. It is a feeling that hits you in the gut. And according to NWS survey, there was 5 fatalities and about 37 to 40, anywhere from 37 to 40 some injuries that were either minor or significant. However, depending on some of those injuries, if some of those injuries were life-threatening, and if some of those are still in the care, in hospital, fighting those injuries, if they were unfortunately some chance to scumble to those injuries, that will take that fatality count from 5 and move it up if that were to happen. We have seen it happen in the past with some tornadoes. One here recently, here in Indiana, up there in Winchester, Indiana, for Randolph County. Initially, there were 0 fatalities with that tornado, which everyone's like, that is awesome. But you got to look at the injury aspects. If some of those were fighting life-threatening injuries, which one was fighting life-threatening injuries, and unfortunately fell to those injuries where they wasn't able to recover, and that got updated for that storm damage assessment in Winchester. That was 1 fatality with that EF3 tornado. So what we're looking at here, when I first got sight of the damage here, I wasn't thinking prelim ratings or anything at that point in time. My focus was doing search and rescue. I hopped out of the vehicle and went straight to it. So I'll play video here. So as you can see, I went and took this real quick. Tweeted out a post, or even say tweet or X post, that keep in mind when we looked at Google Maps on that street view there. Very surreal feeling to see all that. Vehicles tossed. Gentleman here from Greenfield PD, very nice gentleman, very professional. When I talked to him with how I got my current Jeep set up, whenever I'm out chasing and I'm in less than ideal conditions where I'm stopping, pulling off the side road and all that, I want to be visible and not get hit. So I do have white and amber lights on the back and the front of the Cherokee. That way I can be seen. I got light bars on the front, be able to look for power lines and stuff like that. It helps out tremendously. Most people think it's dumb looking and looks stupid, but there's a purpose for why I got that stuff on there. So he instructed me. I took this after I took attendance to give my full blown attention to a mother and 3 kids, checking them out, make sure they were right. Those were the first 4 victims I came across in this tornado aftermath here. Very shooken up, and rightfully so. They just had the worst day of their lives that's happened, and luckily they survived. And I'm pretty sure their whole outlook on everything is completely changed. With that, I gave my full attention to those 4 before taking this video, making sure that they're all right. There's no major injuries. The little ones were upset, rightfully so. I had them go back to the Jeep, hang out. Always keep like a sleeping bag in the back, with how I travel quite a bit, going to these. Sometimes traveling long distance, going down the highway, when you start to feel that you're getting tired and fatigued, it more than likely it's time to pull off the side road or find you someplace a good stopping point, like a rest stop or something like that, and just chill out and all that. Good reason to have like a sleeping bag and stuff like that. Sometimes when we come across damage like this, sometimes we're stuck there overnight and whatnot, and sometimes you got to camp out. But had a sleeping bag in the back of that, so got that out. They were soaking wet. They were dirty. They had dirt, debris. Like they just went through hell and back, and they survived. And cell phone service for a couple providers were out. I want to thank FirstNet. FirstNet and AT&T network is pretty tremendous about having a very strong network, and that network pulled through this day for us that were on FirstNet, that were helping out. Mother couldn't get a hold of anyone through her phone because the service was bad. Me being a FirstNet customer there, I had signal and everything. I gave my phone to her, told her, make whatever calls you need to call. I'm not worried about it. Go for it. You guys chill out here, get warm, stay comfortable, and wait here for EMS to come check you out. And did so. After they were good, they got checked out. They got moved to a safe spot where they were staging everyone at to get everything configured where they're going to take everybody for sheltering and whatnot. Then after that, I got video of this real quick, send a message out to people and folks, like if they're nearby, they need help immediately. If you're able to assist in search and rescue, provide supplies, water, stuff like that, or moral support, please do. And so I went on, continued off to the east, to the right hand side of that gentleman there, going like in a northeast search pattern there, going through every square inch of storm damage there to see who I could find and what I could do to help out. And my buddy was doing the same, probably a couple hundred yards from me, where you were just going hard at it to see what we can initially find and help out with. Unfortunately, right around that area, there were some fatalities reported in that area. I won't go in depth of where and how many were in that area, but there are a couple. But the sheer damage on this was tremendous. And the fact that there only reported 5 fatalities with this is astonishing and quite amazing. With that pretty bad. That was after everything started to settle down, and first thing that you and foremost you need to do when you're dealing with scenes like this is help out the best you can, but main part is you need to take care of yourself on situations like these. This is a high stress situation. It's not for everyone to deal with. Not everyone can deal with a high stressful situation such as this. There's a lot of danger at the scene still yet that's hidden, that you cannot see, that picture cannot even fathom of taking. This community was mainly ran on natural gas. So about 99.9% of these homes were operated off of natural gas as far as heating and energy consumption and stuff like that. There was tons and tons of natural gas leaks all over the place still. And it took some time for energy companies to come in and get everything shut down. And even then, it still took time for it to be considered safe, because with the amount of natural gas in the air, one wrong spark or whatnot could have been enough to set off a huge bomb in that area. It had the potential to be a big bomb that we was operating in, and that alone is dangerous, along with going through unsturdy structures, navigating damage, nails, stuff like that. And so mitigating through disaster scenes like this is, there's always a danger there, even though the tornado threat after this was diminished. The cold front was starting to move in, so any chances for severe weather after this was done. It was cooked. It was done. And some of the dangers there natural gas leaks, the unknown if power has been cut and dealt with, because there could always be a potential for live power lines to still be down. And for those that are not well versed in search and rescue operations, if you're not well versed in it, you need to stay away from these areas because there's a lot of hazards that you're looking at. This is still shot right here. There's a lot of dangers in this. You got debris and trees still hanging out, and it was starting to get a little windy as the cold front was moving in. And with that wind factor pushing in, if you're over by objects like that, trees with suspended debris, the wind could potentially hit that just right and knock it down, or take structures that are no longer sturdy and unstructurally sound, could cause structures to collapse still yet, and make the situation even more dangerous than what that tornado had caused. So those that are not well versed in search and rescue operations, knowing the dangers behind it and how to mitigate those dangers as you're doing so, you have no business being in the area. If you're one of the survivors of a situation like this, the best thing to do is get out of the situation that you're in, find help, know where your people are. If you're missing people that you sheltered with, you need to start letting law enforcement know and first responders know that, hey, I have people unaccounted for. They sheltered in with me. I can no longer find them. You need to vacate that area and get to a safe place. In an event like this, you still need to find a safe place outside of this area because there's still dangers. Natural gas leaks, the unknown, the power is still going to some of the down lines and everything else. It's not a time to sit there and try to look for personal belongings or be upset. You just naturally, yes, you're upset, but items can be replaced. You cannot, nor can your family or your family members be replaced. Items can always be replaced. Phones, TVs, stuff can be replaced. However, you cannot, and I will always stress that. Items can be replaced. You cannot. So everyone is starting to get into a safe place. We continued search and rescue operations for about 6 hours. We was in Greenfield for quite a bit of time, and just going through. And after spending a good hour searching, and luckily I was finding people that had minor injuries and going and so forth, and seeing some not so good scenes. I was able to get people out of some situations and rescued a nice pit bull. A little guy was scared. Stove had been on top of him because I heard scratching, heard movement in the house that looked like it got shifted quite a bit of distance from its foundation. And so it sounded like someone was in there. If someone's stuck in a situation, they're not going to be exactly in possibility of shape to be yelling and screaming because of the trauma. You don't know what's going on. So I entered in the structure because I know how to mitigate structures like that. Carefully went in there, moved stuff around, tried to get eyes on if there's anyone in there. Thankfully, no one was in there or trapped. I found a pit bull that Stove had landed on. Poor little guy was bleeding from like the mouth. I was able to retrieve him, get him out, and his owner was nearby. And the owner was very emotional and concerned about where the pet was. Yeah, because pets are family too. And for those that would argue that pets are not family, pets are family. If you don't think a pet is family, I'm not going to debate that. Pets are family. So I got the little guy over to his rightful owner, gave a rundown on the owner of what physical injuries I've seen on their family member there, and hopefully he's little guy's doing all right. I'm hoping so. Um, he seemed in good spirits for going through with what he's going through. Scared, he's scared, but friendly, and so I continued on and did that for about an hour. Then we reconvened to the Jeeps, got our caffeine and stuff like that. Biggest thing for high stress situations like this, you got to take care of yourself. You can't push yourself on and on and on. You have to be able to help yourself and take care of yourself. Release a little bit of pressure. That way it's not building up and get mean too much on you. I got me some caffeine. Caffeine makes me tick. And unfortunately, nicotine. The nicotine aspect of things. Took a little bit of nicotine for myself and some caffeine, and we got right back to it. Then spent a couple more hours looking around, all that, and oh man. But with that, here comes another point I want to make. So anytime storms roll through like this, and the National Weather Service is posting out watches, warnings, advisories, stuff like that. When conditions are right, you want to take those watches and warnings seriously, and even more so here lately, because this spring has had a handful of tricks up its sleeves as far as severe weather. This severe weather season has been absolutely devastating this spring, and downright deadly. 5 fatalities with this one so far. The big Iowa tornado prior to this one had 1 fatality. I think has been reported so far. 1 in Randolph County, Indiana. some in Ohio, Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Kentucky. This spring has been a wild trip, and I will say that this year's been quite deadly for severe weather, and it's definitely packed a punch. And I haven't been on a tornadic scene this devastating probably a couple years. And but, but I haven't been on a devastating scene like this in probably a couple years, excluding Winchester, Indiana. When I went up there for the aftermath on that one, it wasn't basically a direct aftermath. It sort of kind of was, but not to this extent where there's fatalities and yeah, there was a fatality with the Randolph County tornado, but being on a chase and coming up on us immediately, it's something I haven't been on in a couple years. I remember when I was on was more Oklahoma. That is to this day is still debated. Either it's EF4 or EF5. That is always going to be argued, and it's still argued up to this point. Anymore, once we took our break from helping out, like I said, we were on scene for a couple hours on this one, and looking around, I went and took a tour of everything, kind of looking around, because thing that intrigues me is how the damage happened and what what points got sheared off and ripped apart to cause this. And so I started looking around at some damage, and pretty devastating. And I was talking with a buddy of mine that I come across on chases quite a bit. Good guy. He didn't know how to help out with the search and rescue, so he decided to talk to some of the victims on at Ground Zero here, and just talk to them, just be there for them and whatnot. He felt guilty for not being able to get out and do what me and my buddy did on search and rescue, putting high vis vest on, getting spray paint and all that stuff, and running and getting to it. He felt guilty about that, but however, he did provide something that was beneficial. He was able to talk to the victims and be there for them. Just kind of talk to them, see how they're feeling, and just be there for them. And he let them rant, talk to them, and even though he feels guilty that he couldn't go out and help like we did, he still provided a service that it's none other. He was there for them. He's able to talk to them and be a general decent human being. And this makes me turn into another turning point here where chasers, two types of chasers that you'll come across. First type of chaser is like myself and my buddy. If we come across something like this, our chase is done for the day. We're not thinking about getting back on a storm or whatnot. We're getting out and we're helping like we did. There'll be plenty of other storms in the future. I guarantee it. But these people needed our help. So we'll get out, drop everything we're doing, go help. We're not going to be taking pictures, video. Granted, we did take some pictures and whatnot, and that's a document how we helped out and all that. If anyone or National Weather Service wanted to request those pictures and video to see the initial, because they're going to start cleaning up at some point in time after everyone is accounted for. They're going to go through and kind of get stuff moved around, cleaned up. And so every once in a while, National Weather Service will reach out to us, chasers, and be like, hey, we need to see any pictures or video that you got. Although the cohesion between the National Weather Service and chasers, in my experience, has been kind of abrasive a little bit, because they don't exactly see our point of view, how we do things. I get it. National Weather Service does not endorse chasing at all because it is very risky, as you can see. But the Skywarn spotter training is, they train people to spot. Hey, I see this, call it in, cool, you did your part. They don't teach you, train you how to go chase. They don't. So whenever someone says, I'm a Skywarn spotter and chaser for National Weather Service, no, you're not. You are not, because National Weather Service office does not endorse chasing. They never have and they never will. And I don't see it happening anytime soon either. Just because of some of the stuff that we've been seeing happening amongst the chaser community as far as how people drive, and that's a whole another ball game and probably another video I will do. But your first stop chaser is what me and my buddy did. We get out, forget the chasing for the rest of the day, and we get out and help. Your second type of chaser is to come through, they're going to get in the way of law enforcement and first responders, all that. They're going to get all the pictures, the video, the media that they can, and they're going to try to broker all that. And they're going to try to sell that media to news, which, okay, if they're able to sell their media, cool, but me personally and my buddy, morally, don't like doing that, because that's basically putting everyone's livelihood and their, what's the word I'm looking for? You're putting their misfortune out there live on air at that point. You're making money off their misfortune and their loss and devastation that they've gone through. And morally, I think that's a little bit demoralizing and humiliating to do at the same time, is do all that. So you will never see me live stream or take pictures and video in hopes to gain a buck or two from it. Not at all. Not with something like this. Uh, because this was downright devastating, and my heart goes out to these people as they're gonna it's gonna take quite some time for them to recover from this. Um, I know last time I've been up in near Winchester, Indiana, that was pretty devastating as well. And there's still that town looks completely different. I guarantee you this Greenfield, Iowa is gonna look completely different from everything. Um, with that devastation, I won't make a buck off that or anything. But the second type of chaser is going to be in a way they're going to be getting their media, their video, and seeing what they can do to broker to news networks and everything else. And just be in the way in general of first responders being able to do what they need to do. Um, this day in Iowa, in this town, as I'm assisting with search and rescue, and I had been with the gentleman that you see there. I was with him majority of the time as we're going through clearing everything and helping people out of their basements and whatnot. There's drones flying in the air, and a lot of the drones that I seen in the air, I asked them if they had a drone program and stuff like that, and they said not on hand. That they're working on getting their drone operators gathered up and be able to respond. So that tells me there's people taking their own personal drones out, whether you're a drone operator that's not certified Part 107 or not, or if you are Part 107 certified to be able to use commercial use of a drone and get video and stuff like that. Cool, great, but however, this should be considered a restricted airspace at that point in time, because this is now a disaster scene. As I was watching drones fly back and forth, knowing that there's probably chasers out there flying their drones and getting in the way of everything. They had Lifeline or Care Flight, whatever you want to call it. They had helos in the air coming in, landing, and going right back out that were flying at maybe max coming in about 700 feet, just coming in, scooping people up, going, coming back. They were shuttling back and forth. So the airspace was pretty active for helos and emergency drones that were operated by first responders. I want to make note that if you're flying drones in a scene like this when first responders and you got care flight coming in on a situation like this, if your personal drones hit either law enforcement or first responders drone, or hit the care flight helo, or a physical piloted aircraft in the air, you have committed a federal offense at that point in time, and that comes with major penalties and prison time, especially for something like this. It bothered me that I did see drones in the air, and I'm not going to say names on chasers that were doing it, but I'm pretty sure a handful were doing so. And because I've seen one actually on the phone trying to broker his media and his drone footage to like ABC, Fox News, and all that, and I'm like, dude, really? I talked to him personally. I'm like, dude, if you have no reason to be here, go find somewhere and report from the distance. Don't be in the way of law enforcement and first responders on this incident. Which some chasers will get very upset that gentlemen like the Greenfield PD officer here will be like, hey, if you have no reason to be here, you need to go. If you're not a big part of this helping out the situation, you need to go. You need to go home. You need to do something. And they have every right to kick you out of the scene there. If he wanted to, he could look at me after everything and think I did enough. He could tell me, hey, I need you to be able to leave. I need you to leave the scene. We're getting a little bit more organized. We're getting incident command set up. We're getting a command point up and going. Appreciate your help, but could you mitigate and go somewhere out of the way? And me, I'd be like, no problem. If you guys need anything, here's my phone number. I am an amateur radio operator, so I would let them know what frequency I'm operating on, or ask them what is a local repeater that they operate on, to be able to get communications established and whatever assistance we may be able to provide after the fact. But chasers need to keep in mind, if they come across stuff like this, if they're getting media video for trying to make that quick buck or whatever, or if you're actually out helping with search and rescue, if law enforcement or first responders ask you to vacate the area, you need to do so. And don't give them attitude, because the moment you give them attitude, you're making their life even harder of a day that they're already having a rough day. You have no business to make their life even harder out there at that disaster scene, because with what they got a high stress situation going on at hand, because now they have to keep in mind and orchestrate everything that needs to happen to be able to safeguard the community, prevent people that doesn't need to be there, because unfortunately you would think you'd trust people anywhere, but unfortunately there's people that will go into places like this that see it as a free-for-all opportunity to go through and find stuff, personal item, personal belonging, valuables. Sometimes people have safes with jewelry, whatever, and they'll start looting everything, and that is felony theft, depending on whatever the state statute looks at on stealing. If you go into a place and you loot stuff from personal property that has valuables, that should be considered felony theft. And a lot of places do consider that. And that could be a level 6 felony depending on state. Some states still go on the A, B, C, D class felonies, or level 1 through level 6. But they're orchestrating everything, what they need to do to safeguard this community, preserve life first and property, and to keep the people out that doesn't need to be there out. And yes, that will include chasers coming in for just grabbing media, and chasers flashing, I'm part of the press, I'm good for you, law enforcement just asks you to leave, or do it from a distance. Don't argue with them, don't haggle with them, don't make their life even harder than what it already is, because they're already dealing with quite a bit. And the gentleman here was very respectful, very professional. I asked him what he needs from me, and at that point in time he goes, I'm not sure. I'm like, cool, let's start here, let's start looking for people, let's do search and rescue until EMS and all that present up, let's stage him here at the hospital. So me and him were able to establish a game plan and get everything going where we're going to put everyone at that we come across. And as we got that established, he had to break off and go do something else. He told me, continue on, I got to go do this, I'm going to be over here at this area of everything, if you need me, come find me. And that is a professional working relationship with that law enforcement officer right there. And it's pretty good if you can establish a working relationship with law enforcement and first responders on stuff like this, when you have good intentions of going out and helping. Because me and my buddy, we arrived on scene the same time he arrived on scene, that he's getting a first glimpse of everything from his perspective and our perspective. We're like, whoa. And all three of us was able to communicate, navigate, and execute a plan and move. And so I can't recall his name, but if you ever come across this video, good sir, I appreciate your understanding and teamwork, and I enjoyed helping you guys out, and I wish you guys a speedy recovery. on everything. So when it comes to the chaser aspect of them coming in, being part of the problem, or clogging up roads and stuff like that, just don't argue with them. They're already got a lot of stress going on because they're arriving on the scene firsthand, trying to figure out what they're doing, and they don't need some chaser coming in and demanding that they get their media because it's their livelihood. And I've yet to meet a full time chaser. I know of one. It, if you're doing this every spring and it's your livelihood every spring to make a living year round, I doubt it. You have to be doing something pretty incredible to be able to do stuff like that. Um, it's out of the way, and but other than that, this tornado in Iowa was completely, utterly devastating. You can see Dow. More here. Structures are just completely wiped off, and grain bin silos just crumbled, folded over. Bear with me real quick. Okay. Uh, Apologies. The computer's acting dumb. So as you can see, house is completely gone. Wind turbines gone. Stuff like that. And in general, something that looks so docile and innocent is pretty strong. And I will say one thing: the the events in Iowa on this chase and seeing what we seen firsthand and be able to go to the Greenfield is sticking with me. Um, there's a part of Greenfield, Iowa that's forever going to be embedded in me, and there's a piece of me embedded in Greenfield, Iowa. So both ways. Um, a part of me lives in Greenfield, Iowa still, and a part of Greenfield, Iowa lives with me as they went through this extremely tragic event here. And figured I'd post a rundown on this, on how the chase went and what I came across. As always, if you get severe weather, pay attention to the watches and warnings. Take those seriously because those could be a make or break for saving lives. And always have good ways to receive the watches and warnings, information, text, and all that. And always pay attention to local news sources for the latest updates on everything. And hope you guys have a safe rest of spring as we start to transition into the summer. And I hope everyone had a very safe Memorial Day weekend. I know I did. And other than that, we'll catch you guys later.